Carson, welcome to the Action Figures. Episode 2. Thanks for being here.
Sweet. Yeah.
I mean, I've known you for a few years and kind of see each other like ships in the night almost. But we actually have one similar like majority sponsor, big conglomerate, BRP.
Yep.
You drive Can-Ams and just use them for anything that you do. And then I'm on the snow side, obviously. Mm-hmm. And one of your biggest things is Rampage.
Yeah.
And you're in one piece, which I'm excited to see. Last time I saw you, I think it was in the gym, and you were like getting worked on.
That was before Rampage, I think. And just dealing with nagging old injuries. Yeah.
Full like pain face, just getting destroyed on the table, trying to get ready. And but one thing that I was going to ask you is like, when it comes to Rampage, how many of the guys there are like a little beat up going into it? I'm assuming a lot of you guys are like maybe not in full peak form. And then how much a part of it is like just getting through the weekend?
Yeah, I'm not really sure like people's condition going into it. Like mine this year, I had just got done with this big Red Bull project, Crossfire, with Carson Brown, and I was one of the builders. So I built for 2.5 weeks in machines and by hand with the whole crew, and then filmed and had to perform. So I was like, my body was pretty torched, and I had like a week to prepare, for the big show. And like one of my things, I have like a pinched nerve in my neck, and what's it called? TOS, thoracic outlet syndrome, that kind of came out of nowhere. Well, I guess it's from hitting my head, unfortunately, and whiplash and breaking my collarbones and shoulder stuff. So it just gets all jacked up, and it just happened right before I just started getting like hot nerve pain shooting down. It was perfect timing. So the last minute, rebound PT there at Boss. Kind of got me sorted. And then, I think like what makes that event so gnarly is just, while you're built, you're not just there to ride. Like you scout, you build for 8.5, 9 days, and halfway through it, you start practicing, and mentally, physically, especially, it's like completely overwhelming. And somehow we all make it happen every year, but it doesn't really make sense how we, hold on to the bars and keep it going when you're swinging picks at cliffs for a week and a half. So it's just a lot to handle.
Yeah. Well, and a lot like the average viewer doesn't really get to see that part unless you follow all you guys on socials. Like you don't really understand that you guys work for a week straight on that shit before it's actually go time.
Yeah. It's they try and get it out there, and I feel like Red Bull does a pretty good job of the backstory, but Rampage is like transcended action sports. I think like the viewership, it's so mainstream that there's millions of people from around the world that have no idea what they're watching. They just watch it because it looks crazy. So people don't really understand what goes into it and the history of it. But our sport, historically is like no dig, no ride. You build what you ride, and you have to create what you do on your bike. And that event just kind of portrays it in the biggest, scariest form. You get like a boundary and a start and finish point, and then it's really creative. And that's one fun part of it, is you can work with people, or you can kind of distinguish yourself by yourself and build kind of your own stuff. But you have to be really creative and kind of have a vision for the terrain, and try and hit all your strengths. And it's just a lot of work, and the build crews are a huge part of it, and people understand we have a team around us. And but that doesn't mean we get to sit back and just watch them build. Like we have to get, like, it's just such a time crunch. You have to grind and make stuff happen. And you're smoked. You just go numb.
And you have to be on hill to know to build it and show everybody what to do, because it's ultimately you riding it.
And it's our vision, and a lot goes into it. We're a part of every single piece of it until the final day. Like the hard part is like building. The scariest part is guinea pigging. And then when you do make it to finals day, it's like, I try and like mentally just be like, this is, I get to finally like enjoy it, I try and mentally not make it a scary thing. It's like, God, this is my time to actually enjoy it, and I can show the world what I want to do, instead of like, I have to be here and have to be doing this. It's like the hard part's done. Now I just got to do a bunch of stupid tricks and survive it.
And it's like, when I was looking back at when they run the old highlights and stuff, it is just morphed into this insane thing, especially on the build side.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be like that.
No, it's no. Yeah. I think like 2016 was the first year we had like water access. They found a spring like below, kind of in the zone we're in, like everything that's happened since 2008 or 2008. It's all been in this basin where there's like multiple peaks and kind of running out of real estate, to be honest. But they found a spring and there's a generator to pump it up to fill a cistern at the top, and then it gravity feeds. And then there's like hardline hoses like going all down the mountain once we kind of figure out where we're going. Like the pre-build crew goes through and sets on hard lines, and then we bring our own hoses or buy hoses to tap into the hard lines. And with water, that dirt works really, really well, as you can see. It looks really beautiful, like a lot of the builds. But and there's a lot of conspiracy about overbuilding and its slope style and all that. But all I can say to everybody is just go there in real life and you'll realize that none of there's not one thing there that's safe. It's just, it's nice to have that, like to have that much water to make it safe enough to do big moves off big cliffs, Yeah. So it's definitely changed a lot. But it kind of just gets wilder and wilder, and it's just a beast. Yeah.
It's one of those things where if it looks steep on TV or on GoPro or, on the cameras, like, it's gnarly in real life, because it never is you just can't do it justice in anything that we do.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like anything. It's just like you go to your gnarliest zone and you can't tell. Like, I'd say it's like really similar to like Alaska for snowboarding and skiing, because you can't really tell. And then you're there and the terrain is so fucked up that's what makes it special, Yeah. And Utah, Southern Utah, that terrain is gnarly. But it's also what makes it fun. It's just, falling off cliffs isn't that fun. Yeah. No. I had one of those this year. It was not that fun.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. And then you had a redemption run on your 3, which you've had before.
Yeah, that was the third time. Yeah. 2018, I spun that big drop. It was the biggest drop I've ever spun still. 2018, I tomahawked. I like over-rotated, hit a bush, tomahawked. Smashed my dick really hard. I'll never forget it. And then 2019, I did it my first run and got down. Didn't get the score I wanted. And then second run was kind of having the run of my life. And then my tire blew. And so that was the last time I spun it. And this year I did not do it. That guy went way too fast and spun a little too hard and went like 15 feet deep. So it's definitely the biggest drop I've ever spun. Yeah. And then Michelin held on, tires held on, and my wheel folded a little bit, but I was able to make it to the bottom. And after that, I was like, I'm safe. I don't really care what my placing is. I kind of did it for me, and I was like, it was redemption. And after my mishap in practice, first day of practice, I guess we can talk about that because people probably don't know. It was like the most simple part of my line, just a little connector. And I just popped it and kind of got pushed to the left and cased on these sandbags. My pedal caught, and then I pretty much just bounced and fell off a cliff. And it was a solid 15, 20 feet to a ledge, to my face pretty much. And then I tomahawked down and thankfully stopped, because if I would have kept going down the ravine, it got really nasty. So I was a little dinged up all practice week and finals. I sprained my ankle and bruised ribs and sprained a wrist, but I got lucky. I don't know. I'll take it. So the fact I made it to the bottom did what I wanted, and not exactly what I wanted, but I did it and I was safe. It was kind of okay. Did it for myself, and I ended up 7th, and I don't really care. I'm happy with just making it down. That's the whole point. And not doing it for money, not doing it for sponsors, just for me. That's how all of us are pretty much at that event, because it's that terrifying. It's definitely not about money or anything. It's just we're there and we're doing it for us, So win or lose, it usually feels pretty good at that one. Yeah, just getting out of that thing healthy is so huge. Yeah. And but it's a really it is so cool how it's transcended, and like you said, that drops, if that's the biggest one you've spun, how do you go from the drops you practice on to that? There's just experience. I don't know. I think the first big drop I spun was 2016. Rampage 2016. I don't even know. It was 25 feet down. It's hard to measure them like down and out. So there we usually just tape them like kind of like tip to tip, you know? So I don't really remember that. That one was maybe like 42 or something, you know? It was the first big drop I ever spun. And before that, like the whole first half of my career was slope style, like competing all around the world on pre-built courses, and, you know, had a lot of experience spinning drops both ways, but nothing near as big as that. So that was you kind of just got to do it. And then there's no other way to practice it by just doing it in the moment, you know? So, living here in Bend, or just south of Bend, I have a training compound, I have some property, and I have like a good sized drop there. And for me, just like what I do going into that event, knowing I'm going to spin a 40-foot drop, as I just spin my 15-foot drop as much as I can, just get comfortable, like controlling the rotation in the air. And even though it's such a simple move, when you take it to a big drop, it's not simple at all anymore. There's a lot of variables, you know, about how you pop and how you drop shoulder, and, you know, so it's just repetition at that point, and just having trust in yourself to not 540 a 40-foot drop. So there's no way to practice it by just doing it at Rampage, because there's no other train in the world that caters to building stuff that big. So yeah,
that's what I was talking. I was talking to Sage about that in Alaska skiing. Yeah, so I was like, dude, it's just instinct and experience that you have to rely on, because there's nothing. You can't prepare for that step or that leap to the next big thing. Yeah,
but that's what makes these sports special, is like, that's the best times of your life is when you're in Alaska. Or like for me, my experience is like getting to, you know, be a part of big mountain films like in the North Pole or the Yukon or the south of France. And in the only way, you just have to have trust in yourself. That's the most fun part. You're sitting at the top and you don't really remember where exactly your line is, and you just kind of do it. And Rampage, you know exactly where you're going, but you don't know how it's going to, how you're going to end up, you know, and it's terrifying, but it's kind of the special feeling you get when you get to be able to be a part of these big things.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Yeah, the feeling of like getting to the bottom in one piece. So, your place down south of town here, it's whenever I'm out there, I always look at the container stack. It's so sick. Is it 3 or 4 containers?
It's three containers tall, welded together with like pins on all 4 corners. And it's kind of janky. It was just I sold my old house in Bend and got the land, and it was just like a slow build. And I just had the idea of containers just so I could store my old house while I was building my new house. And so I stored all my stuff in there and made that the roll-in. And now it's kind of turned into this like giant contraption. It's kind of ridiculous and spent a lot of work, and it's built sketchy because it's by me. I'm not the best carpenter, but it's solid. It's not going to fall over. But it's turned into, I'm pretty stoked on it. And for having a dead flat piece of land, like there's a lot going on, and I'm pretty much tapped out for the bike stuff. So now, last year, Can-Am BRP, they helped me build a side-by-side track, which is also serving as a moto track. And I'm starting to integrate different lines in it, you know? So it's kind of a childhood dream for me at this point. I always wanted a compound like that, growing up watching all the Pastrana movies and, seeing what they do. It's always been a dream to have a place to just have all the friends out and screw around all day long on a bunch of different toys. So and then also functions that like I use it a lot, and it's really nice to have that. I feel pretty fortunate to have a training compound, airbag, mulch jump, everything I need to prepare. I don't really need to. It can all be from home for me. So
it makes it very accessible. And well, I mean, you worked your ass off for that, so good work.
I enjoyed the build too. I like moving dirt and
no, it is pretty incredible. And the Can-Am side, we were supposed to go. I went. You were busy, and I think we were going to drive together when they released the Maverick R.
That sucked. I was busy. I remember that launch, and I don't know what I was doing, but
you were somewhere, and so I showed up in Vegas for that. And I was like new kid on the block. Like nobody knew who I was. I don't even know how I got an invite. I just bugged those guys. And I was like, sweet. Put me in one of these. Yeah. And because I raced some stuff back in the day. And that was like a small circuit that's no longer around, which is unfortunate because it's like the only thing that doesn't have a massive hundreds of thousands of dollars barrier to entry. But when I showed up there, they partnered people that for content who knew each other, and I didn't know anybody. So I'm with this dude, Rodrigo from Brazil, who doesn't speak any English. He doesn't speak like hardly any English. But he has a Monster hat on, and he is like Dakar Can-Am guy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
scary.
Holy shit. And I was like, dude, especially when you can't communicate with your like driver and we're just nuking around the desert, you're like, I hope this guy's good, you know, because you can't get any like verbal feedback or anything from him. But no, it's a pretty incredible experience. And, you know, that new Maverick R is top notch. It's
ridiculous. Yeah. I started working with Can-Am in like 2019, and they lent me one, like a 4-seater X3 for Rampage that year. And and the guy at the time, Nils, he came from Red Bull, so I knew him there. That's how my connection started. He's like, oh yeah, just take it for a month. And then that month turned into like, the end of the year. And then he's like, keep it for the year. And I was like, okay. And then I think he just forgot about it. And then eventually it turned into an actual Can-Am deal. And now they have now there's a team of us on the Can-Am side for mountain biking. And it's like Zink, Tom Van Steenbergen, Reeder, Casey Brown, and I. And I can't believe it's one of those. I just trying to keep them happy. And it definitely has been sweet though. Like like the more utilitarian vehicles, like I had a Commander the past 2 years. I just got a new Defender, and that's like straight up for all the builds I do and shuttling and riding and filming. They're pretty all time for like a lot of stuff. And they help a lot. And without them, it would suck, you know, or we wouldn't be able to get into zones that we're getting into, especially while filming and like dragging around cable cams and whatever it is, or fuel, you know, like jerry cans with fuel in them. But I don't know how I convinced him, but I got a Maverick R as well last year. And I think it's kind of a test phase. I'd really like to get into the off-road world, but I don't really know how. I think I'll just kind of have to do it as a passion side project, you know, and just see how I do, like maybe some scrambles, maybe like the San Felipe 250, just amateur level, you know, and just kind of go from there. But having some time in that, like, it's pretty fun. And you should come out now. The track's dialed. And definitely a little scary, but it's fun. And just getting out here, like we have a lot of access in Central Oregon to, you know, pretty fun terrain. So it's been a blast, and hope to just keep doing it. Yeah.
We have 160 acres in Eastern Oregon with the cabin that is just begging.
Oh yeah.
It's just do it. Begging for the build and the project and everything. So it's on the docket to put something together out there. But I think it's something that it's cool that Can-Am does that, and they invest in other sports and other, you know, people, that it helps you out a bunch. And building has become like a huge part of your kind of your career now too. Like you're building a lot. And like, what were you doing in Hawaii?
I was building in Hawaii. Hawaii, like we were just there, and we built a bike park like right outside of Lahaina, kind of a give back thing that Census Rad Trails put together. And all nonprofit public bike park for kind of the community there that's struggling and is in need of fun stuff to look forward to. So I was just there for like a week and helped everybody build. And the whole build thing has turned into kind of a side gig. But I just enjoy moving dirt, and a lot of what I do now is like I don't compete as much, like don't do any slopestyle. I'm retired from slopestyle. But I guess when I first started really getting into building was holding Black Sage outside of Bend here for the 3 or 4 years with KJ. KJ and I built the courses every year, and it was all us. It's kind of like built by us for us and our friends to ride, you know. And it was just part of the Fest series, so just a media driven kind of by the riders for the riders event. And then since then it's been like, if I get like build budgets to do a project for whatever company, or if it's like a passion thing that I want to do, I just started building everything myself and hiring my friends to help me build stuff, you know. And now it's just the way it is. I'm a builder and a rider, and kind of I build my own courses and lines of jumps or whatever features to film on, and I enjoy it a lot. And
it started small, and now some of the shit I've seen you build in the last year is like the project with Carson with Brown was just like, that's like big shit. It's not just, you're not just running around in minis anymore.
No. And it's been a lot of years just like that. Like we used the big excavators and like a D6 or a D5 to kind of rough stuff, and then we finish stuff in the smaller smaller machines. But yeah, that Project Crossfire in particular, like I was like one of the builders. I was not the builder. We had like some of the best in the world, like Jason Baker, Dream Tracks, Josh Venti, Bros and Hills Landscaping on the coast, who I work with a lot. Yeah, we had a complete dream team of builders, and Justin Wiper from BC, Seminux, like main builder, and yeah, that line it's pretty insane. And now it's going to be there for the future, so hopefully we can turn it into something, or just keep that project idea fluid and keep it going. But yeah, it's always fun for me. It's like a full side thing, and I try and learn and progress every time I have the opportunity to do a big build like that. And then usually it feels just as good to create something and build something as it does to ride my bike on it. So it's just, now it's integrated into what I do. So anything going forward, it's like, I like moving dirt. Yeah.
We don't have to worry about finding it. We can build it.
Exactly.
Yeah. If budget and constraints allow.
Yep. Now it's open doors. Like I did a project, Dusty Weigel, who lives in Bend, with his wife Tara. They're both legends. They invited me to come along for this thing with Travis Pastrana. What's his YouTube channel called again? Channel 199.
Yeah, Channel 199.
Yeah. It's a new, I guess the past year, but he's been focusing a bunch into that. And they did an episode at his co-driver Ree's house, or her property outside of Boise. So they drugged me along, and I didn't really know what to expect. Dusty told me bring the R, bring a pit bike, bring your bikes, and he had no idea what was going on. We ended up going there. Kubota, I think just signed Hubert and Travis, and so we're just there. There was machines there, and Hubert was like, "Well, if you want to ride your bike on something, go build something." So me and Dusty just started building a line, and Hubert built like this pit bike track, and then Travis showed up and got on the skid steer and started building all these sketchy lips for Maverick R jumps all over the place that were kind of terrifying. And then it just turned into mayhem for a few days. And we jumped everything and ripped everything. And then coming out of it, just got approached by the Kubota US head lady that's there. And she just offered me, Dusty, and Tara like a deal. And we're like, okay, that made it extremely worth it to go there. And then now it's been a major pleasure to work with them, and able to get a couple bigger pieces of equipment from Kubota. And now it's just, the dream is even more alive than it was. And they helped out with this project on West Maui for this bike park, and supported the nonprofit with a bunch of free equipment, which is epic. And they're all community based, so it's not just us athletes and our ideas that they're supporting. It's like anything that helps communities, like wherever. So it's been pretty cool, and I'm an even bigger fan of Kubota now, because they're doing the right thing and helping out with a lot of things, so I'm just stoked for the future, and hopefully work with Coda here in Central Oregon, and hopefully I can kind of give back with the support from Kubota, and hopefully make some stuff here.
Get us going again. Seriously. It sounds awesome. But I mean, I think, the lesson in that story too is like, you were just like, I'll just go to this thing. When Dusty told me to bring my R and Travis was going to be there, I'd be like, oh shit. Were you nervous? Were you like, damn it, I have to load.
I couldn't believe, I brought it and I didn't really know what was going on. And then, we were just there, and he built this lip. Like, the only thing I drove and hit was this like step up, but it was, I don't know, maybe 80, 90 feet, and never jumped a vehicle like that. Like I go out in the woods and smash whoops, or go out east and smash whoops, go really fast, maybe hit some little kickers here or there, I guess I have at the dunes, but nothing crazy. And then and he's like, well, I see you brought your machine, you should probably unload it and follow me off this jump. And then he didn't follow, or he followed me because he didn't trust me in like behind him, And then, and they just kind of turned into, we're just jumping them all day for a few days. And it was fun though. But a lot scarier than riding bikes for me is, not knowing what the hell I'm doing. It's like throttle control and stuff, but I guess I learned pretty quick. And then it kind of made me build this track in my house in a better way. And
for sure.
Now we jump them at my house all day, every day. And it's fun.
There's a lot of science that goes into the lip on those?
Yeah.
Because that dictates how they fly.
Yeah, I think I was told like 2.5 car lengths is like kind of the right lip. And I think Maverick R's, like they're definitely like desert machines. So they kind of jump, like if you're not careful, like they get a little front end kind of nose down.
Yeah.
But then I learned like you can set suspension and kind of let off and use the throttle to kind of like set the suspension to, lift off all 4 wheels at the same time and stay level in the air. But it's a whole concept that I've never experienced until this past year. But it's pretty fun. And now I'm kind of hooked on it. Now I want to hit bigger stuff. But
when I raced that series, it was essentially like an enduro cross, but with side by sides, and it was spec cars, pretty much bone stock, and really like to win, just don't break the car. Yeah, because there's some fast guys there, but they would break a lot of cars because they're used to driving built cars. Yeah, and like I was just took all the rebound out of the back and just like tried to do anything that I thought would maybe help a little bit. Right. But there was a few there where you would just like, I had one dial that I would just jump and the car would go nose heavy, but I would just barely get over it. Yeah. But I'm like, you're full on just like looking at the ground. Yeah. Like,
they can take a lot though. Like you have to land like past vertical to. Yeah. Yeah. You can land pretty crazy, like straight up and down on stuff and just,
I did go over. Yeah. I landed on my wheels.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was in the lead, landed on my wheels, got passed them back, won.
Yeah. Yeah, the main thing that I've learned that's really easy is just you keep it pinned for a lot longer than you think until you're in the air, because it's so easy to just like let go of the gas and then you chop the throttle and then you catch your back tire on the lip, kind of like a moto if you like let off right at the top of the lip, you know? Yep. So I just kind of tack it out until I'm like halfway in the air, and then it seems like they fly pretty good if you just keep it pinned. Yeah. But interesting, kind of a whole different thing. And I'm super like. Definitely not a professional driver, but I have aspiration to maybe, try and dabble in that side of the world and just try and experience it at least like as a, spectator /fan /amateur driver. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how I am too, at least in my discipline is like, I've been doing it for so long now. I'm like looking for more things and other things. Yeah. That's like my obsession with everything else. Like bikes and moto and all that stuff. And it's becomes, I have a lot more fun all year round because I'm not just waiting for winter to show up. Right. But
you're riding moto a lot, right? Yeah. Bikes a lot. And jack of all trades. Yeah. I think with my career, so this just never ends, you know? Right. So I think it's like, I have to like make time for other stuff. And unfortunately, I grew up snowboarding a lot and don't do it nearly as much as I should anymore. And, but the off-road thing and, driving these things, it's fun. I love it. It's turned into like a passion of mine. So we'll see. Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. We can talk to Can-Am, do something together, go build something at your cabin property out there. And,
you never know. And then the other thing that is this new electric bike too. That thing is.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about. The Dust Moto. Yeah. They approached me, so I'm working with them, and they approached me and asked me if I wanted to be on the team. And my first response was I dabbled. I grew up racing a little bit, like got up to like 85s, kind of super minis, but nothing crazy, super normal. And I ride moto frequently, still, like I always have. But first thing I told them was like, why me? I kind of suck. I'm not that amazing, you know. But I think they wanted to work with guys from other sports to kind of, build a bridge between like moto, which is a very serious, like race oriented world, into like all these other action sports, and kind of bridge the gap and kind of create a brand that's more like fun oriented beyond the race side of things. And I think Colin and the guys over there, they're super smart dudes, and they're totally with it. And the bike they've created, like I've had the chance to test it, like the prototype, or I guess is version 2 of the prototype, like multiple times until now. And they're fun. They're different. Like I've ridden Surons and ridden Stark once. And it was terrifying. And I think it's just like the right middle ground is super playful. And I think the big thing with me is like trying to bring back the backyard track thing. Cause like I have the property, but I will piss off all my neighbors.
Yeah.
And so it's sweet. You can do it secretly and nobody would ever know. And I hope it just resurges like the backyard track thing. Well, with all the E motos as well, like not just dust, but I think the thing with their bike is it's just so light and playful and fun, and just comes dialed. Like Surons, they come and they're kind of just like, they just have shitty Chinese parts, like the forks, all the, like every component on the bike is garbage from the factory. So you got to like, spend another $4,500 on top of the $4,500 you bought the Suron for to like make them legit, And the dusts are going to come like stock, like kind of like a Husky. They're just like built,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been fun.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked for the future, and it makes it more fun for me at home. It's like, I'm going to build all these other, I'm going to build a moto track intertwined into the side-by-side track and just have like, the bike side and then the motorized vehicle side.
Yeah.
And then anybody can come to my house, like you, and everybody could have fun. It's not like you have to, work on double flips into a bag to have fun at my house.
Right. Yeah.
On a bike.
It takes the like terrifyingness out of it a little bit. You have options.
Yeah, we can ride bikes. We can ride the dirt jumps.
Yeah.
And then we can go do laps in the Maverick R and then go ride moto. So that's kind of my goal for this spring and summer, is just like have it a playground for everybody to enjoy, you know, and push themselves.
Yeah, it's incredible. I went and saw the Alpha at Dust, and Colin walks me over to an Ultra B that they had built out with everything, and he's like, okay, so this is it. We did everything that you have to do to make it decent. Yeah. And he's like, it costs this much. Our bike is going to cost this much. Yeah. And it's like the same price. Yeah. And it's way better.
Yeah, it's just you get what you pay for. I think those dudes are just trying to find the price margin that's like, it's like not cheap, but you're getting what you pay for. Right. And it's going to be dialed right out of the box. And I just like it. I like the size with the power. Like I feel super comfortable, but it has enough nut to like you can ride an actual track. You're not going to be hitting like 120 foot like big jumps. But for me, I don't want to anyways. I just want to go rip vet track and go ride trails. And the first thing I thought when I rode is like, I think I would flip this,
Oh, for sure.
That's like a goal of mine. I'll say it on camera because
dude, I think,
why not? It feels like a 125 with a little bit more power, Yeah. And it kind of feels like I'm riding a downhill bike with a lot of power.
Yeah. I was telling him that because my discipline that I've like fell in love with is hard enduro, and it is the perfect training bike. Yeah. Like just to throw in, ride around the property, all that stuff, just to get reps instead of loading the 300, going 20 miles into the woods, riding the hardest, gnarliest stuff you have. Like it makes it much more accessible. And I think where they will hopefully shine is for both guys like you and then also guys like me. Yeah. You either have it as your bike and you don't need this big thing, or like, God forbid, you need a Stark. Yeah. Because that's a whole nother electric ball game. Yeah. And then also guys like myself who want something else to ride that's not their main, race bike, until we get to the point of like, electric and enduro would be insane, but it's just such a long race that it's not there yet. So
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I didn't think about that on the enduro side. It is light and playful. If you put like some gummy tires on it, probably work pretty good.
I think it's going to go everywhere. Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on one.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. Maybe he'll come bullshit me on here. I'll really get into the nuts and bolts. He's smart. That dude is sharp.
Dude, yeah. They know. I just kind of ride them. And I'm like, I'll test and give you guys feedback, but it's very just like, I broke this. I broke the fender. Yeah. Every time we've ridden them, we just break them.
Yeah, your durability tester.
But that's what they want.
Exactly.
Is like, like a bunch of sketchy dudes to go break them and give them like the really, caveman feedback.
Yeah. No, I think durability testing is from over the years, riding things early and maybe not riding them early enough is always really interesting because I'm like, you guys didn't break this yet? Because I just broke it in 4 minutes. Like this is going to be an issue. Yeah. So growing up here in Bend, I mean, Central Oregon in general is just kind of like become this hotbed for guys that are really good at shit. And it's kind of an interesting thing because you and I have talked about it where it's like this, we don't have anything world class.
No.
Like not even close. It's good for a lot of things and we have a lot of access to things, but do you think it's like culture or like, what is it about just the people? It's gotta be mostly.
I don't know. I think, probably culture. Like, Michelle Parker, good friend of mine, she said it best. Ben's like the best average place in the world. It's like the best at like everything's pretty good, but it's not like amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Like as far as like the snow, the terrain for riding bikes, moto, everything. But you can do everything. And there's nowhere else in the world that you can on any given day go rip whatever you want or do, you know, multi-sport days, you know? And I enjoy Ben. Like I was born and raised here and my family's been here for two generations before me. So growing up, it was just, I thought it was normal to have like accessibility to stuff like this, you know, but as I've gotten older, it's definitely special in that regard. Is like, we have a lot of access to a lot of terrain and everything's pretty fun, you know? But then going to like Queenstown, New Zealand for me on the mountain bike side, or like Whistler, BC, somewhere like this is not the best, like not even close for riding bikes, you know? But, I don't know. Like I've talked to you and, you know, Lucas Walks and the Fergusons and a bunch of us that had like grew up here and we're all, you know, doing all right in our respective sports, you know? It's just kind of wild. Like, how did this happen? Like, it's not, you know, I think for me, it was like, I think I had to try so much harder because, you know, for slopestyle and dirt jumps, like Ben kind of sucks. And I had to create it and then kind of grind my way. And like where I progressed is when I was on the road. And I think it's like safe to say, like, probably similar with like Lucas and Ben and Gabe and Jared. You had to try really hard because Bachelor, you know, is not the steepest terrain. It's just super fun, but they had to work really hard to like get speed to do everything. And you can kind of see it in their style, like the way they ride. So I don't know what it is, but it's definitely there's a lot of talent and a lot of kids coming up too that are killing it in all these sports too, you know? And, you know, there's like Curtis, Austin Smith, like, I don't know. Yeah, there is a deep talent pool here, and I don't really know how it happened. It just is happening, and I think it has to do with the culture because we all, you know, we have people that we look for or that we looked up to growing up, and now kids are looking up to all of us, and then it's just created like a multi-generational like thing, and a lot of people kill it here. And
I think that's a good point of the thinking of like what I rode growing up as far as like snow, like going to Revy is crazy. And I can go ride it all and hang and, you know, it's no big deal. Once you get over the like massive size of everything. But I think you just get your reps, your fundamentals become really good. I know that's like whenever I watch like the Fergusons, they're always like, if it's natural selection, they're always talking about like their edge control and they're like, it's like basic shit that they're really, really good at, which then makes them...
It sets them apart from the field. Because I say it's all like style based and like, for me, it's like bike control and I don't never done the biggest, craziest tricks. It's just consistency, you know? And I think it's same with Ferguson, same with all of I don't know. We grew up riding simple shit, but ended up getting really good at riding simple shit. So the fundamentals are there. And so I think that it could be a big part of it as well. The other cool part is especially talking about the young kids coming up, dude, going to Bachelor now in the summer, bike park. You're like, dude, you guys they're on like $9,000 full downhill, just trick shit. And I'm like, dude, remember like my first bike was from Walmart. It would like we were the first to really like get these really good bikes, but it wasn't until we were like teenagers or, you know, it's progressed so much. So it's cool to see those kids on really good gear and just like ripping. They have. And Bachelor, like, shout out to them for allowing guys like KJ and Kiwi Paul to build Redline. As soon as like Redline was created, there was a big resurgence of talent in Bend, and now there's like a whole generation of kids that are like racing and killing it and doing tricks. Like Arlie is, you know, focusing on freeride. Arlie Connolly, and he's killing it, you know.
Yeah.
Kiger Grom, he's killing it. Like, but there's a whole slew of them that are just killing it. And it had to do with like build one good jump line, and then all these kids got really fucking good. You know, so it's pretty cool to see, and it like inspires me going back to the machine operating side of things. It's like inspires me to like, okay, like how could I help Coda give back and build, you know, more proper stuff for them to keep progressing on, and generations below them to keep progressing on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the other big thing I'm involved with to steer in a different direction is like Tillamook Off-Road Trail Alliance on the Oregon coast, which, knock on wood, like just got fully green lit. So hopefully this winter we'll all be able to start breaking ground. And Josh over there is kind of leading the charge.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help continue to help the Oregon scene, and the Northwest scene is that place is insane and very special. And because a pretty good chance it might be some of the best riding in the US, if not North America. So pretty excited on that. And, you know, along with Bend and all the access we have here, to be able to drive 3 hours and pretty much have a slice of BC at our fingertips is pretty amazing. So
there's the moto trails out there too, are some of the
like Tillamook State Forest.
Yeah, they're probably they're some of the best in the state for sure.
Just the best dirt.
It's so good.
The dirt's insane,
dude. Dirt is everything.
Yeah.
People. It's funny too, like riding with guys that live in the wet dirt, and then they come here in the summer. They're like, what is this? We have like 12 inches of moon dust.
It is
sand.
good. Yeah. I mean, I just remember Kurt Vorys, like growing up, he kind of put me and a few of, you know, our crew like under his wings when we were young. And it was like, you learn how to ride shitty stuff, then you get good at riding good stuff, you know? Not that Bend is shitty. It's just, it is what it is. It's volcanic, you know, it's dry, but yeah, it is nice. Like, we can ride this. So then you go to like real clay, dirt, wherever, bike park stuff, and it's like a little easier to ride. Yeah.
Dude, that guy, I want to have him on here. Because I've rode with him at the bike park, but it's literally like there's 14 of us. And dude, he is insane.
He's like the funniest dude ever. Kurt we call him the Jesus of our sport. He kind of created freeride, or one of the guys that created freeride mountain biking back in the day. He was like first guy to like bar spin and 360 a mountain bike in the 90s, and raced World Cup, then moved to Bend like when I was young. And so I've known him like most of my life. And yeah, he's just a legend in all. Like he's the legend of legends in our sport. And we're lucky to have him around here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's been cool with him too is he's had like a resurgence almost, because he competed back in the day and did all of this stuff. And now he crushes on social media so hard because he does shit that no one else is like, will do or thinks about.
Yeah.
And he can ride the wheels off a bike.
Yeah. He's a creative mastermind. He always has been. And going his career, like he's done everything, you know, from World Cup racing to having the All Ride Tour and bringing up all these kids that are now killing it. Like Richie Root is no longer a kid. He's like the enduro world champion for how many times in a row. And that's one of Kurt's, Groms. Yeah. And then, Kurt helped me growing up and helped me a lot. And and now he's taken like Kiger and a bunch of other kids under his wing too. So it's like multi-generational. He's been helping our sport for a long time. And he even helped like Zink and Kyle Strait were his Groms back in the day too, so it's been like every generation he has kind of his input and has raised a bunch of us. And so it's pretty insane. And now just turned into social media king, and he just does the craziest shit. And still keeping his career going strong. And he's over 50. And it's pretty wild. He's definitely not slowing down. He just hits the ground, has to take like a few more weeks off than he did when he was younger.
Just delays him, doesn't slow him down.
No.
I mean, it's really important to have those people. Like, luckily I had that with Brant when I was young, just out of high school, like weaseled my way in there and got to.
Is that the 509?
He's like OG, runs a backcountry operation now.
Okay.
I worked for him for 6 years.
Okay.
But he was.
Oh, right.
He was like monster Arctic Cat, like 2007 X Games. He flipped like the like 85 footers. I think it was snow to snow.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't, but he didn't tell anybody he was going to flip it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but he just like rolled up and was like, all right, here we go. And
sick.
So that kind of spring loaded him, but he was always a backcountry guy. So he really kind of pioneered the backcountry sport. Mm-hmm. And then Carl Kuster's the other dude in BC. He was teammates with Blair Morgan, who was dominant forever, raced snowcross, and is just like the best dude, totally sick. Wizard about everything, and rides the wheels off a snowmobile up there. He's less involved on the social side of things, but he has a similar operation that's just like world class.
Sweet.
That's where I ran into Reader. Yeah. I met Reader there, and I was like, what the hell are you doing here? Yeah. Because he was there like helping with the snowmobile thing through BRP or, and just like small world. Yeah. And then, Andreas Bergmark, he's the Lynx dude. Yeah.
Yeah. He's wild.
He's a psycho.
Yeah.
And kind of like to your point of hanging out with Pastrana and like jumping stuff. I went to Sweden with Bergmark and his crew, and they're riding like concrete snow in May, and they're just like lining up like 70 foot like hips, and I'm just like, dude, this is not my discipline.
Yeah,
like, but back to that, Brett Reader walks in, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't think anybody would know me here," and I'm like, "Come on, dude, I know you." Like, I love mountain biking.
Yeah.
So I'm chatting him up, and then he's talking to Bergmark. Those two have no idea who they are. Like Bergmark just set the record for longest backflip on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
And Reader has won everything. And they're just like, I'm like, dude, these guys don't know who each other are. And they're going to cool guy each other for the next 30 minutes and not figure it out. I was sure of it. I was like, there's no way these guys are going to understand. So I had to give the intro to make sure. I was like, dude, all right, here's the deal. Now I'll leave you to it. Yeah. But, no, it's pretty cool just the people you get to meet and come across in all disciplines and stuff. So
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is some of these projects that you've done. Like the North of Nightfall one was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Talked to Clay a little bit about it, and like, man, that film, the workload just to get there is wild.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest trip I'll ever have. I don't know. I don't want to say that now, but I don't really foresee anywhere or anything being cooler. So pretty grateful I got to be a part of that, but it was wild. Yeah. North of Nightfall, big mountain movie in the Canadian Arctic. Like we're like 270 something miles from like the North Pole or the magnetic North Pole.
Yeah.
I was on an island, Axel Heiberg Island. Which is like pretty, like really close to like Ellesmere Island, which is a little more famous, just because there's like a joint U.S. Canadian military thing there, and kind of by the tip of Greenland. But it's an Arctic desert because it's all ice up there, so there's no precipitation because there's nothing, like that, like the atmosphere can't pull moisture from anything.
Gotcha.
So this island, it's just like where we were. A big chunk of it is just like Arctic desert. It looks like southern Utah on steroids, just giant mountains, and the way all the glaciers have receded over like tens of thousands of years has like created like perfect runouts for all this crazy terrain. So yeah, going up there, we're there for like almost a month, and it was pretty miserable at the time, but now I look back and it's like the best times of my life. But yeah, we had a good crew. It's like, Darren Bearcloth, Tom Van Steenberg, and Cam Zink, and myself on the riding side. And then we had 14 media people, like Freeride Entertainment. Jeremy Grant was a director. Clay was there, Clay Porter, who was in town. He's a legend filmer. And we were there for like 3.5 weeks, and flying up there was ridiculous. Being up there was ridiculous. And the sun just did circles in the sky and kind of made the light really good at all times of the day.
Nice.
Which is good for filming, but not good for sleeping or living or anything.
Yep.
It was a wild one. It was all just heli up, trying to remember your line and just drop. And made a movie, and we all ended up getting kind of hurt towards the end of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
We're okay. But the movie was rad. And they got nominated for something, one of the things. And like best picture. But yeah, just an honor to be a part of it, and pretty cool experience. Did the whole film tour next year, and Red Bull drugged me to like 14 or I think more, maybe 17 premieres. So kind of had to skip my whole career that year and just go to all these premieres. And at the time I was pissed about it. Now I'm like, that was the best times ever.
Yeah.
It's honored to be a part of it. That was a wild one. And yeah, probably some of the best, if not the best big mountain like terrain ever. But I don't think anybody's going back there.
No,
it was not very cheap in any regard or safe in any way. So, but yeah, stoked I was a part of it for sure.
Yeah. I don't know I love what Red Bull does, but it almost makes me mad sometimes because I'm like, dude, it's so wild what they'll pull off that it's like, they're the only ones that'll do it.
Yeah.
When it comes to these things. And it's so incredible.
Yeah.
And then I get to dream it and I'm like, no way. Like, you know,
it is. That's the special part of riding for them is like pitching ideas and projects. It can be the most wild idea, it's like we just did an athlete summit in Oahu like 3 weeks ago. Ben Ferguson was there, and it was like the Northwest athlete kind of team, so surfers, snowboarders, me, Hannah Bergman, who's another mountain biker, freeride mountain biker, and the whole point of it at the end, it was a lot of like whatever team building stuff, conference kind of style, and then the end of it, the whole goal, I don't know if I'm supposed to really talk about it, but not that big of a deal, was like pitching an idea, like actually pitching an idea, like getting it past like the like kind of storyboard phase to like actually pitching it. And we all came up with ideas and all voted on like all of our ideas, like what we should narrow it down to, and got them down to 1 out of like 3 to 10 ideas. And then we all pitched our ideas to ourselves and then like storyboarded it and like kind of off to the races with the idea. So every one of us left that place with an idea pitched, like ready to go,
Very cool.
So it's pretty special. And we got to learn a lot more about the process, but basically there's a lot of people that are really smart and really good at their jobs that are their whole jobs from like Red Bull Media House to like Red Bull North America is like just making ideas happen. And whether it's events or video projects or this or that, it's pretty cool. They go like way above and beyond on that whole thing. And, they're the company that created this whole marketing scheme. And, they're the ones that are keeping it going in a crazy way. So a lot of crazy shit happens, but,
So they were like, you've pitched a lot of stuff. All you guys have pitched stuff. Like you figure out how to do that in our job. Like to get paid, you have to put things together and pitch ideas that like will ultimately in the end help sell product. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But they were essentially like helping you guys pitch to them, almost.
Yeah. Because
or like walking you through their process.
Internally, it's such a battle for them. We can give them a really good idea.
Yeah.
And it might not be the right time or the right time of the year, or maybe it would work better like 5 years down the road, or because of the market, because of this, because of what social media is doing, because of, like we're going to focus everything on, clickbait social media stuff right now. And then it's like, all of a sudden it's like the tides will turn, and it's like, now we want like long format stuff, like ideas for like full length films or whatever. So they kind of ran us down like what they deal with internally to actually get stuff across the finish line. And it's interesting because we actually got to learn like, okay, this is actually where stuff is going right now.
Yeah.
And because usually it's like you have a really good idea and you'll pitch it to them. And then like 3 or 5 years later down the road, it'll like happen and it's a little bit different than what you thought it was going to be, but it still happens. And we never really know why. And sometimes you're frustrated because you're like, oh, I had this idea and now it's this. And now,
Yeah.
So it was cool. And just made me remember why it feels so special to ride for Red Bull, because they're the only company that really does this for athletes and for these sports, and there is companies that do it, but it's just like not the same level, of commitment and crazy shit, like build a skate park and have it floating underneath of a hot air balloon while riding with a parachute on your back, like Chris Kyle just did that project. And it was like, or like land a plane on top of a building in Dubai, with like 20 feet. It's like stuff like that. It's like, who the fuck does that?
No. Yeah, exactly.
And then you remember, oh yeah, I'm an athlete. I could pitch some crazy ass idea that might actually stick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. That was what, that's what's like, I'm super proud of Bergmark for what he's done. I mean, that dude for the longest time, I hope he quit, but he used to work underground in a mine in Sweden. Yeah. Like legit, like him and his buddies, they all ride for Lynx, but they all work together in this mine underground. And, he would just like, he didn't really do a lot of media stuff. Like, and then he just like would drop a few clips that would just go bonkers because he goes.
I remember like his cork flips or whatever.
Yeah. And, so he's the first snowmobiler that Red Bull has signed like in my lifetime. Yeah. Like in a long.
Because who's the OG guy? Levi
LaValle. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been on Red Bull for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Levi still holds the world record for longest jump. And
yeah. It's like that New Year's No Limit thing, right? It was side by side with
Madison.
Yeah. Gnarly. Yeah.
So
that dude's a legend too. And yeah,
he
works with my good buddy Luke Seal, who's a producer, and a lot of the past 10 years, all the projects that Levi's put out, like all the wild, like in the city stuff, like Luke has been a producer on those. So like it's been cool to watch and like talk to Luke about it. We're working on some, random thing. He's like, oh, look what we just did. And, we're like St. Paul or whatever,
Yeah. Well, Levi had a full like Minnesota Vikings wrapped snowmobile jersey, and he's like backflipping in the middle of St. Paul, like before a Vikings game. Yeah. So, I mean, that guy definitely is one who opened up a lot of doors and just pioneer in that aspect, which is so cool to see.
Yeah.
But man, that's really interesting. That's so cool that they do that.
Yeah.
And
I think it could be any company too. I think it's just like, us as athletes, our jobs, like be creative and pitch these things and try to make them happen, and that's the business side of it. The people don't understand like the amount of work that goes into like even like small minuscule stuff. It's like a lot of effort has to take place to make anything happen. And
and when you get to the point of working with bigger companies too, they have so many lawyers and liability and all this stuff. Like we're a lawyer's worst nightmare. Like they hate us. They're like, you guys are paying this guy to do what?
Yeah.
And
I think that's why we're contractors and we don't get health insurance.
Yeah.
We're 1099ers.
Yeah. But no, it's really sweet that they do that. So
totally.
Yeah. It has always has me thinking of like, oh, what do I want to do next and now and stuff. And I think that's the toughest part with some of the projects that I've done is budget and time constraints with Mother Nature. Yeah. Because dude, the snow game it's just tough. You have to be willing to camp out for 3 weeks.
Right.
And wait for it to go to really get the bang for your buck. But nobody's making money during that time, or you somehow have to have enough budget to run the program for that long and just be like kind of not doing much.
Yeah.
So
that is different and tougher.
Yeah. Yeah. But the beautiful part is we can shoot a segment. Like I've shot a 5-minute segment in like a day and a half.
You're right.
When it's good, you're just like, all right, next run it. Yeah. Yeah. So
we can chase summer a lot easier than you guys can chase snow. Yeah. I think for us, this is like choosing trying to make stuff go to the places where you're actually going to be productive and do cool shit, but it's not that hard. You go to New Zealand, you go to Chile, when it's winter here, and it's going to be amazing. So yeah.
When I've done Chile a couple times, and that's where, but for snowmobiling, that it's just, you're putting them in shipping containers, sending them down there.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of the moto guys, like they go to X Games in like Australia, like Beerman or whatever, and they'll fly with like their suspension and plastics and everything, and they'll rent a bike, make it theirs, maybe do like a tuner or whatever, and it's like their bike, Yeah. So you guys will ship your rigs down there.
Yeah.
Damn, that's gnarly.
Yeah. That's why Japan has been so hard too, especially for me now being on Lynx.
Yeah.
Like kind of riding the exotic sled. There's not a lot of them, especially in North America, and then there's definitely none in South America. So trying to get those down there and stuff is...
I didn't think about that. That's crazy. Yeah, because I always wondered how the moto guys do it, and they just they do it that way. They rent bikes and put their stuff on it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that seems a lot more realistic. But yeah,
the amount of times I'm like, dude, I wish I could just shove the snowmobile in a snowboard bag and go.
Right.
It'd be so nice. Yeah. But
sick.
Yeah, what are you excited about next?
Well, I was just talking about Chile and New Zealand, and that's next for me.
Sick.
Yeah, I'm going to Chile in early January, and there's an event. My buddy Alan holds an event called Todo o Nada. I don't know. I think it's like all or nothing or something. Yeah. It's just like kind of like a media, like kind of like fest series style event, which is just like big line of jumps, kind of jam format, just shredding and just getting clips, with a big crew. And he's built like a pretty insane line. And I think we're going to go early and fly down to the big city and then fly up to Antofagasta, which is like this zone. I don't know. I think it's like a decent sized city, but it's right on the Pacific. And these mountains just kind of like jet up right from there. And apparently you can shuttle like all the way to the top of them and just like ride lines, like big mountain free ride lines. So I'm going kind of just for fun. I think we're going to try and line up a filmer. I'm going with like kind of the younger crew, like Ryan McNulty, who's from Bend, and Talis Turk and kind of the Grom squad that are killing it.
Cool.
I'm going to go down with them and we're going to go like a few days early, just go check it out. And I haven't really ever like North of Nightfall or any of these big mountain film trips I've been on. I've always ridden like my free ride bike, like my stiff ass made for big jumps and impacts kind of bike, which is like, it's stiff and it sucks riding downhill and riding like chunky, chundry, gnarly stuff at speed. So I'm building up like the company I ride for Propane that makes this bike called the Rage, which is like the World Cup race bike. And it's like a mullet, like 29 in the front, 27 in the rear, super plush, super soft. Like, so I'm going to fly down with that extra bike and like go it's kind of like a test trip for me. Yeah. I'd love to figure out a way to like go explore down there. Definitely not the first one to do it, but I'd like to have my taste and kind of flavor on that whole place and, try and get some, just try it out on a different bike and which I've never done somehow, like a bike that's actually set up to ride that stuff.
Yeah.
And just see how it goes. And if it goes good, like I want to pitch something for next year and try and like spend some time down there and then do that. And I come home for a week and then going to Queenstown a couple weeks early before Natural Selection Queenstown, which is like our next big event.
Yep.
And be down there for that. So pretty stoked. And
on the Natural Selection side, now that they've entered everything. Yeah. Essentially. Because they're surf now too, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They're doing a surf event and ski event, snowboard event, and this bike event for 2025. Yeah. I'm actually a part of that. I've been a part of like Proving Grounds, which it's kind of the history of it. Like Proving Grounds was held in Prineville, kind of piggybacking off our event Black Sage. And that was held at first as like a Rampage qualifying event. And then the next year, Red Bull didn't want it as a qualifier, just wanted, just kind of standalone event. And Todd Barber, who's the event coordinator for Rampage, he's the creator of Proving Grounds, and that whole concept is kind of in between slopestyle and big mountain. It's the in between that our sport kind of needs. So it turned into like a one-off event for a few years, and then it stopped happening in Prineville, unfortunately, for Central Oregon, because a lot of fans went out and it was like a cool thing. But I held a Proving Grounds Pacific City last year at our zone over on the coast. And and I think the way it all morphed is like Travis Rice and the whole like NST crew and Todd Barber. They want this to be for all sports, and they want to kind of have this kind of new competitive format that's just a little different. And I think with the success with snowboarding, it's something fresh and something different. And for our side of the sport, I can't really speak to surfing or skiing or snowboarding, but for our side of the sport, like we really need something in the middle right now. Like Rampage is this beast kind of all on its own way out here. Slopestyle has turned into like a whole different sport, and then everything in between, there's like hundreds of people of guys and gals from around the world that are slaying it, that don't have like a platform to compete on or prove themselves besides social media. Like we need something in the middle. So Yeah, I think the Proving Grounds name hopefully is going to stay as like actual Proving Grounds events, you know?
Yeah.
So there will be like NST bike, ski, snowboard, surf, and then Proving Grounds, you know, they can be qualifying events or this or that or whatever. But yeah, there's a crew of us. Like I'm on the advisory council for NST and kind of a part of it. And I've been helping, trying to make it happen. And I went down and with Todd and did a scout with him for like, we went to 27 different locations in 2022, trying to find this spot that we're doing national selection Queenstown on, and then did a second trip, narrowed it down to 3 and picked one out of those 3. So now it's really going down. So it's been like 2 years of work in the process. And and I'm stoked to be competing in it as well as like advising on it and being a part of it on the event side. And hopefully from here, like the dream is to have a world tour of these events like in the coming years, you know, where there's like 3 or 4 or 5 national selection bike events. And I'm not sure about the other side of sports, like I said, but for our sport, it's hopefully going to turn into an actual world tour of events. And Rampage is just kind of the Super Bowl of our sport over here, but we need something in the middle. Yeah. You know, there's the talent base is kind of limitless. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people deserve opportunities. And this is kind of, in my mind, it's kind of like the opportunity right now. Like if we can build this and have multiple events, then, you know, something to set itself apart. And, you know, my goal with it is like, it's always been so hard to define freeride mountain biking besides the Super Bowl of our sport. It's like, oh, you're one of the crazy guys that rides down the ridges in Moab, you know, like I've always gotten that. It's like, I wish people like thought of freeride and they think of freeride, just like how snowboarding, it's like you think of snowboarding and it's like you think of like X Games and you think of like slopestyle and pipe, you know? So I guess that's a big like motivating factor for me is like to establish our sport and give it what it deserves and the name it deserves. It's like we need something in the middle here, you know? Yeah. So anyways, there's my spiel on. Yeah.
No, it's incredible. I was just thinking about, and then you brought up X Games of like that is it's taken this cycle of X Games was the original. Like without X Games, who knows where all these sports would be. Yeah. Like, I mean, I remember Tony Hawk 900. Like I was tiny.
Yeah. Or Trav's double flip.
Yeah. Trav's double flip. Yeah. Like Metzger, like flipping the first bikes ever. And, but now what's come out of it is like these sports that it's like, dude, how do we compete? How do we like do like the snowmobile world would need essentially a natural selection for snowmobilers. Yeah. It would fit the same way. We're not as big of a market, so who knows if it'll ever get there. It would be cool if it did. Yeah. But I understand the logistics and all that stuff, especially when you add 700-pound machines into the matrix and horsepower. But no, it is really cool to have these opportunities. And I mean, natural selection has been something that I've watched every year. Yeah, I can't wait for it. And I can't wait to see what you guys put together over there. And how is it going to be? Is it going to be run similar to the snowboard side, like the actual day of the event?
Yeah, I think, it's going to be a little different. But it's going to be multiple lines. So you'll have line choice, but I think the way it's going to be judged is going to be different. It's not going to be 2 runs, best run counts. Yeah. It might be, I don't know if I'm supposed to speak on it, but whatever. It's hopefully, I think the whole goal is have it completely different, something fresh, something that has happened before in our sport, but hasn't happened in a long time. Is like 2 runs combined score. So like you'll get judged on line choice. Like it's all pre-built, you know?
So it will be, is it going to be like heavily built or is it semi-built? Like
I've seen, I think semi-built. It's like pretty raw, but with very trickable, like the features will be, but like you'll have to practice the entire course and be able to do 2 runs that are different from each other. And you're going to get judged on how different they are and the tricks you do. So hopefully it'll like wean out, like it won't be like a slope style competition on big bikes. Yeah. It'll be like, you're going to have a lot of bike control and brake control and be good at riding bikes to like do 2 separate runs and like link 2 different runs together. Cause it's going to be a combined score, you know?
Very cool.
So I think it'll be a little more interesting for the fans. and a lot more interesting for us, you know, and you're going to have to really like tone back the tricks to like realistically put 2 runs together that are going to be a combined score. So I think that's the goal right now. I think there still is more talk to be had while they're building the course. And that's why there's this advisory council, and there's, you know, a handful of us on it, you know, like me, Cam Zink, Casey Brown, Emil, and we all come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so I think at this point, it's like, it's in the most beautiful place in the world with insane dirt and insane terrain. And it's going to be different. And the builders that are building right now, they're like, the stuff that I've seen, it looks insane.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really hard for it to fail or fuck up, you know? Like, I feel like everybody's going to have to blow it pretty hard for this to fail, but definitely a lot rides on this, because this first one has to go good for the future. And then hopefully from there, it can just grow, you know, and we can do more of these around the world, you know? And so that's kind of the goal right now. And, you know,
that has to get you jacked up when you get photos or see updates on it. You're sick.
Because it's not just I'm showing up to ride. It's like, it's been 2 years of my life. I've tried to help, you know, do what I can to help it succeed, you know? So it's like, pretty special. So I'm stoked to go down there. Yeah. So it'll be a pretty crazy start to the year. Yeah.
Good. That's incredible. When for like those events, whether it's Rampage or like natural selection, do you like your process on the hill? Who's the guy that you've worked with? Ben's worked with him. Tyler's worked with him.
James Jackson. Yeah. He's from, or he lived in Bend for like a long time. And he worked for Red Bull for a long time, and he's like a big reason why I got on Red Bull to begin with. But I've known him since I was like this big. You know. He's been a supporter of all of us, like the Fergusons and all of us for a long time. But I've worked with him. He's like he doesn't like to be called a psychologist, but he's like a mental coach, you know, mental performance coach. So I've worked with him for a long time. Yeah.
So, well, I could go. One thing, what's funny about him is that once I learned about him and knew that you worked with him and Ben and these guys, then I would see him X Games. You know, and he's just sneaky. Like, dude, he's always in like full black goggles, just fully incognito. And you're like, dude, who is this guy talking to these guys? But for those, like, what's the mindset? Like right before, because I know you said that you try to take the pressure off, but ultimately it builds to
having fun
to dropping.
He's like, to me, he's like a big reassurance coach, because like he grew up, I think he had his time in snowboarding, and he's a pro snowboarder, and he understands the sport because he can do a lot of what they're doing. And on what I'm doing, he can't do what I'm doing. So he can't tell me like how I need to be doing the trick. He can tell me how to do it better. Like, hey, I can see you. You need to like slow your head down when you're in the air doing a super flip. Like, slow it down. You have more time than you think, and like hang it out more. Slow your rotation down, blah, blah, blah. Like he can help with that. But for me, it's like reassurance coach. It's like when I'm practicing, it's like, should I do another run? He's like, no, like sit the fuck down. You're fine. Like you like, don't overthink, don't overdo it. So there's like over practice as well as like not practicing enough, you know? And for me, it's like a reassurance coach. And it's like a way to like having help to like strategize how you're going to practice and stay in that mindset. And, you know, and it goes down to like, what should I eat? Or like, when should I eat? Or all these questions that you should know, but when you're in the moment and you're stressed out and everything's scary, like everything's hard, you know? So for me, it's just, you know, he's there for me. Like, it's not like I think the goal is like I don't need him every single time. Like the big things like Rampage or big film projects, it's like a shit ton of pressure and there's a lot going on. It's really nice for me to have him there. But at this point, I've been working with him like all of my career, like my professional career. And then before that, I've known him since I was little. So he knows me like better than I know myself. So I think I've learned a lot of tactics and strategies from him that I can apply to myself and do it on my own. There's certain things I want him there and I need him there, you know? So for me, he's just been, kind of a reassurance coach. And, it's given me the ability to like, I can help coach like younger kids, like Arlie. And I've kind of tried to put him under my wing. And like, when we're riding together, I can notice things that he's doing that he needs to chill out on and like relax. And like, put your bike away, ride tomorrow, like stuff like that. So it's been cool. Yeah. For me, it's been like a learning curve. As long as you're down to like listen and actually apply and then learn, then it goes a long way. Then you can help other people as well. So yeah.
I love how you talk to those kids that like kind of ride with you, and you're like, dude, you just tell them this is how it is. Sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, all right, okay,
yeah.
I think it's really important.
Just keep it light, because at the end of the day, like we're riding bikes, we're riding sleds, or we're snowboarding. It's like it's all supposed to be fun, and then it does get serious. But even when it's serious, it shouldn't not be fun. The whole point is remembering why you started doing it when you were little. It's all fun and progression and feeling good on your bike or whatever tool you're having fun on. So. Yeah. To me, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
There's so much more that goes into it too than like just the raw talent. And that's something that I've learned in the last couple years. I learned it on the film side, but like competing now, racing hard enduro. Like I've had to learn how to race.
Yeah.
And never doing any sort of endurance racing. And then like when time starts to come into factor, and every time I go race, I end up at the end, I'm like, I can't wait to go back next year, but I'm also pissed because I missed a chunk, and every year I learn that chunk, and then next year something else bites me or whatever. But like this year, I totally fueled wrong.
Yeah,
like I didn't train how I was my food.
Yeah,
and day one crushed it. Day two, I kind of maybe pushed a little too hard day one, but like day two, like an hour and a half in, I'm just nauseous. And I'm like, there's nothing, I couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
And to the point of like some guys I know catching me on course and I'm letting them go by. And then after the race, they're like, dude, I can't believe you let me go by. I was like, dude, I thought I was going to throw up the whole time. Like I didn't throw up, but I was just like so nauseous. I couldn't even focus.
Right.
So learning all those processes of like, showing up to the show and figuring it out and knowing what to do. And you've been doing it for long enough now that going to Rampage probably isn't as nerve wracking or, the process.
Well, I know exactly. The process. And it's all like preparation, it's like when you're caught unprepared, that's when shit can kind of hit the fan, when you've done everything you could to like prepare for the moments you're in, whether it's practice or competing or whatever. Just performing, as long as you're like doing your due diligence right and like preparing like every scenario you could ever think of. And while you're doing it, it's just like, doing them out like the right amount of like run ups or blah, blah, blah. Like it can get really specific, but it's just like being on it, being in the moment. I hate that term, but it's true. Like being in the moment and like being present, and everything you do is like meaningful, like you're not just doing shit just to do it. You're not just like doing another trick just to do it. It's like everything has a purpose, then it starts to flow a lot better. And that you're just taking all the right steps to get to the point where you're going to perform or compete,
Yeah.
And then when you're there, it's like, it should just be the fun, like ride of your life, not like, oh, did I miss something? Did I not practice enough? Do I remember the speeds on this? Do I, It's like, you did every single thing the best that you could. So now it's just time to have fun,
Yeah.
That's always the mindset I'm going for. And that's something that James has instilled in my brain is like, also like not peaking too early, like trying to peak at that right time,
Yeah.
Is another thing I think about all the time, and
Yeah.
And when you do it right, it goes pretty well because you did everything you could to be prepared for that moment, and then you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, do you follow like traditional sports that much?
Little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I watch football and blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Ducks are on a run right now, and their media team is insane.
The good?
Yeah. After every game, they release a 15-minute like video that's just cinematic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And they have all these messages and stuff, and it's just like cool to watch. Like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, I'm going to go back to college and just like go work at the football program because they have such an incredible like base of mindset and everything. And like he's pulling these clips, or he's pulling like clips in meetings. He used this clip from the Duke basketball coach about when you're on at a road game, the best thing you want to see is the fans leaving early.
Yeah.
So they're playing Michigan, like big game, big house. Michigan isn't very good this year, but they were the national champions last year. And fourth quarter, he calls a timeout and just brings everybody over. And he's like, look up. He's like, right now. And everybody, they're just leaving.
Because
all the
know
fans,
the game's done.
Yeah. And they're like, it's just such a cool moment that he pulls from that and like teaching that mindset of like, this is who we are. This is what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sick.
I'm just tired. There's no point in that, but
yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right. Weird.
Sweet.
Good combo, dude.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah. If we have any success at all, we'll have you back on when you, and recap some things. So
perfect. Yeah. Let's do
appreciate it.
You'll get success. People like listening to these things. Yeah.
I hope so. There's enough dumbasses around here that need to be on the mic and share the story. So
for
cool.
sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Later.
Bye.